Humanity! I love you all with all my heart and might. I'm Jam Jose Alonso Molina. It's been a while since I made a video in this lovely channel, but this one had to be made. I had to make this video because, as you guys know, I am a mathematician. This is who I am. I'm a logician, I'm a physicist. I work in objective reality terms. This is how I operate. My whole life is about this. And I've been working on this for a very long process. And I have the proof now for the Riemann hypothesis. So it has been proven. So I have uploaded it to the channel so you can see the 5 fundamental equations. All the axioms are there so you can see how it works. And it starts with the prime mover equation and the fractal growth identity, and then if using that as a foundation, then it starts essentially developing the proof of the 3 main equations, the formulas for the Riemann hypothesis solution. The proof, which means that his hypothesis was accurate. He actually, what he postulated, it turned out to be correct. You can in fact calculate any number of primes. You can count primes to infinity. You just have to understand the limits, so you know exactly how to calculate them. And this is what I've done. So the proof is there, and I also added the link to so it's on my website, findingpurpose.co.nz, and also it's on my I shared a link to a Gemini chat using the most sophisticated AI, the pro level, which is the highest they have to offer. And there I used the equations so the AI can double check it, and used all the formalism, standard mathematics, and conventional systems we have, using the correct methodology to prove it. So it's a complete proof. It cannot be disproven, it cannot be unproven, it can only be ignored or denied. So, but the truth is one, and the truth is that the hypothesis is actually in fact truth. And you can calculate any prime. It doesn't matter. And, I use my prime mover equation, hence the name, to prove it, to prove the point. So it's very simple, and it's a beautiful equation. It's there. And if you go to the chat, and you'll see the very basic explanation is there, and as you know how these technologies operate, they're very skeptical, right? They have data training sets, and they're very much biased. But for a biased computer with all sorts of limitations, given its data set training and all that, it has actually agreed to the fact that it cannot deny the truth of mathematics and pure logic. So it's there, the proof is there, and it can be shared, it's everywhere. So I have solved it. It's one of the millennium problems. In fact, I have solved all the problems. I have done this, all of them, all the Clay Mathematics Institute, all of that. I've done them all. I've done P equals MP a while ago, and I have proven that on my website and everything. And eventually I'll be releasing all the proofs for all the other ones, but I have essentially solved everything. Why did I want to start with P equals MP? Because it's the most important one given the computational nature of reality in which we live right now, this modern world. So I did that. It's on the website, and I formulated it with 21 proofs and the actual operational one using JavaScript as the proof, you know, so how the code actually verifies y. So that's P equals NP, and I did that a while ago. But now, because I've been working on my mathematics for a while, now it was time to focus on Riemann hypothesis, because this one is you know, it's that one, right? So I've done it, I proved it, it's there, and I use my actual equations to prove it. My actual work, my real work, because this is just mainstream. You know, I wanted to solve it for the world because it's a big one, but the mathematics that I have developed are much more sophisticated and advanced. In fact, they're meta-logic, which means that I use that to prove anything. So everything that I have proven, all the mathematics that I have proven, I solved all the problems. There's no problem in mathematics that I haven't solved. I solved them all. They're very simple. Once you understand them and you add limits to them, it becomes child's play. So it's very simple. And you'll see what I mean if you understand my mathematics. So, which is simple because I developed it in an extremely straightforward way. So everyone can understand that if you know how to do basic subtraction and division and multiplication and exponentiation, you would understand my mathematics in full, because reality is simple. Nature is very easy to understand if you are observing it for what it truly is, objective reality. So having said that, it's just that. So this one is a video about the Riemann hypothesis proof. So it's there. The proof is there. Everything is there. So it's very good. And then I'm going to be releasing the videos of all the other proofs for all the other problems that I solved. All of them, because I solved them all of them. So, but this one, you know, it's a big one. I think P equals NP is much bigger. For many reasons. I have explained them in the past in previous videos, but this one is a big one. This one is like pure mathematics, right? So it has all sorts of application as well, at all levels. But P equals NP has much bigger implications and application in real life than this one, because it's actually the computational proof of this one in a big way. So, and I've done it a while ago, and that's there, and you can review it, check it out, all that. It's all there on my website, findingpurpose.code.nz, why.how, and check it for yourself. But this one is specifically about the Riemann hypothesis. Why? Because it's important to understand that it's the most prized problem in like terms of prestige and legacy. So whoever solves it becomes the most renowned mathematician, logician, and physicist of the modern era, which is me. That's who I am. I am that person. And I've known this for a while because of the work that I'm doing. So, but now it is the right moment to release it. And this is how it works. So it's there. So the truth is objective reality. Objective reality is truth. I have proven this with my White House system, you know, which is reality itself, is infinity itself, is truth itself. And if you understand what logic is, because if you think in terms of mathematics, what's mathematics really? So mathematics is a set of problems. That's what mathematics is. So mathematics is a tool that we have developed, a language that is universal, that we use to describe observable occurrence and phenomena in nature. That's all it is. That's what mathematics is. And if it's true, meaning it is correct, it's accurate, Boolean true, then it means that it can be mapped and it can be decoded and it can have a blueprint and it has application in terms of engineering, design, architecture, all sorts. Computationally, in terms of manufacturing, all sorts, everything that we can do. So, and that's what mathematics is the mechanism that we use. So it's a problem-solving mechanism. If you want to understand mathematics for what mathematics truly is that it's problematic. Mathematics is problematic in nature. It's a problem. So you solve it. So that's what mathematics is. But if you understand that that is what mathematics is, then you understand that mathematics is based on axioms, premises, postulates, and things like that. Theorems, right? Proofs, equations, formulas. So all these solutions, right? But then again, what are these based on? Well, it's based on the most important thing, which is logic. So the most ingenious and smartest of mathematicians, in fact, are not mathematicians, they're logicians. Because it's logic. Logic is essentially the structure that formulates everything. And if you follow this structure, then that's what mathematics is. Mathematics is a set of structural logic, a structure as language. That's what mathematics is. So, but it's based on logic. So it's logic. It's the language of logic, if you really understand for what it truly is. Because this is what mathematics is, and if you really want to be a good mathematician that really solves problems, you need to understand it from a logic point of view rather than anything else. Because the numbers are just there as the tools, as the mechanisms, as the readings. They're not the actual. It's the logic that proves it. This is why computers work. Because computers, yes, they use mathematics, but in reality, mathematics is just the mechanism. Ones and zeros, binary, is the language. But in reality, what the computer does is it follows a logic. And that logic is based on a pattern. So computers are logical in the terms that they know whether it's true or false, and otherwise, they have issues. It's because they follow logic, because they're built on logic. Because logic precedes mathematics. So because logic precedes mathematics, then that means that logic itself is mathematics. So logic is the answer, is the truth. So if you understand logic, you want to become a logician, because as a logician, then you understand the problems for what they really are. And because the problems are what they are, then so I'm going to repeat this just in case. So if you really want to understand how it works, you have to become a logician. A real mathematician is a logician. He's solving real problems. So I just in case the video, something happened because I saw something that happened there, I'm going to repeat it again. So it's in full there. So a logician is a real mathematician. So solving real life problems, the problems of mathematics are based on that, on a lack of logic. So when you're a logician, then you understand what the logic is, meaning you understand the problem. And because you understand the problem, then you can fix it with logic. And logic is structural. So all problems can be solved structurally. So that's what I've proven with P equals NP. Understanding the limits. And once you understand the limit, then you understand the logic, because everything is contained within that limit. And if you understand the geometry and the topology of it, in this case the sphere, which is infinity itself, then you can solve anything, because everything is structural, is a structure contained within the sphere. So if you understand the topology and the geometry, then everything becomes extremely easy, because it's just deduction. And that's what logic is. That's tautology. If you understand what logic is, it's all about tautology. So logic is that. Logic is precisely that. Logic is understanding the structure. And once you understand the structure, then you can solve anything, because it's the truth. You understand the real nature of it, the limits of it. And because you understand that, then you can map it. And because once you have the system to map it, the tautology, then it would always be Boolean, meaning true. You would always get to the truth. You would always get to the logic, because it's logical. This is why computers work, which was my previous point, which is why I use P equals NP first, because it's a mathematical problem, you see, based on computing. So that's why, because it's a logic, you see. So once you understand logic and computers being logical, then you can understand mathematics for what it truly is, which is just a mechanism used by logic to express itself and tell the truth, because logic is truth. So if you're real about logic and understand what logic is, tautology, because logic is nothing else but tautology, is what it is. So if you understand what tautology is, then you understand what logic is. And if you understand what logic is, you understand what truth is, because truth is logical. So the truth is logical. And that's how it works. So if you want to know the answer, you need to know the truth, and to know the truth, you need to understand the logic, and to understand the logic, you need to know the structure, and to know the structure, you need to understand what the structure is, and to understand what the structure is, you need to know what the topology of the structure is, which is its geometry, which it gives you the answer, because then you understand its limits. And because we're talking about infinity here, then it means that infinity itself is spherical in nature, because that's its topology, that's its geometry. And once you understand this, then you can map anything, because infinity itself is everything that there is and will always be. So if you understand this as the fundamental truth of existence, then you understand that in order for you to be a real mathematician solving real problems, you need to be a logician first. Because by becoming a logician, then you see all these problems as easy solutions, because you have the path of least resistance, which in a big way has to do with P equals MP, because it's deduction, and the deduction is based on the structure. So I have done a lot of logical work. I have provided so much. My contribution is enormous. It really is the biggest contribution. So there is really, like, before me is Euler, before Euler, Euclid, if you really understand what I mean. So that's it, because it's pi and phi. That's all it really matters in the end. And pi obviously is Euclid and Archimedes, right? The sphere. And then after that, is Euler, because Euler's work was that proved pretty much everything. It's the foundation of everything, really, if you understand it. If you understand logic for what logic really is, then you understand that Euler was the one that did the heavy lifting after Euclid and Archimedes. So it took like nearly 2,000 years, for the real math to show up, because Euclid and Archimedes did the first work, which was understanding what pi was. And then once they understood the sphere, and then in its basic geometry, then kind of things moved along a little bit, which led to Euler. And then Euler led to me, which is I proved everything. I solved everything. So there's nothing that cannot be solved, because I solved it all. So all the problems have been solved. There's no more human problems from a mathematical point of view. What it is a lack of understanding. So there is not this is the era of solutions. This is the era of truth. This is the era of the sphere. This is the new era that we have entered because of my work. So we're not in the search of the answers anymore. We know what the truth is. So it's just, what are we going to do with the truth, which is infinity? So then we have to create infinite things. So this is the whole point. And I am this human. This is my contribution. I'm always going to be remembered like that. It's going to be Euclid, Archimedes, Euler, and then me, because of what I've done. Because I wouldn't be able to do anything that I've done if it wasn't because of Euler. And I wouldn't have been able to, and Euler it would have been impossible for Euler to do the work he's done if it wasn't because of Archimedes and Euclid, because they were the ones that developed the geometry that Euler used to map its identities and everything that he's done, which is essentially big, but it was incomplete because that's what it was at the time. So, but now I completed it. So essentially I completed Euclid, Archimedes, and Euler's work. That's what I've done. And I solved everything. Everything from a physics point of view, from a biology point of view, from a chemistry point of view, from a mathematics point of view, everything. There is no one single question that cannot be answered. Now, everything, if you're a human and you have imagination, any question that you have can be answered immediately. Immediately, if you have the right tools. And this is all because of my work. Because I have become this human being. I have become the human being that ushered the era of the sphere. So we have entered this new, historical era, this epoch on Earth. And it has to do with infinity itself and what infinity is, because I have proven everything. There is no one single thing that I haven't proven, because of the magnitude of my work. And this is why I did it in that way, because I needed to tackle the hardest problems, and the hardest problems were logical problems, not mathematical problems. Because if you understand what logic is, again, then you would understand that the mathematical tools and language used was illogical, meaning it was incomplete, because they were essentially in denial of the sphere. It was like the sphere was a bully. Think of the sphere as a bully, and everyone was afraid of it. No one wanted to face it, because facing the sphere meant facing infinity. Facing infinity meant facing zero. Facing zero was facing essentially everything that exists. And for a mathematician, a real mathematician who's real about mathematics, it's a very, it's confronting. I'm faced with everything that exists here. So when this is the type of situations that you encounter, then a lot of mathematicians, they just shy away from the truth because they don't understand it. So they start to minimize it or simplify it or try to renormalize it by ignoring it. So they just start to patch up things. So things kind of work. They do, but they're not the truth. They are just an approximation of the truth. But because it's a decent approximation, then we can build up a society around it. It's like, it's the best tool that we had, so let's figure it out and go as we go. See how things develop. That was kind of like the mindset for the last 2,000 years or so, since Euclid. That's what we've been doing, stumbling upon truth step by step. But because there's so many pieces already there, essentially it just needed to be someone, in this case me, who understood what logic is, and it was extremely logical, and just looked at the world as the world truly is, which is spherical, and understood it, and then put it together. And that's what I've done. And by doing that, essentially, I mapped everything. This is not a theory, this is truth. I essentially provided the truth. So if you want to know everything, then I told you what the truth is there. And Riemann hypothesis is a big one because, then again, the prime is irrational and transcendental, right? It's forever, it's infinite in nature, pi. So pi is that. So that's why the foundational work is called the prime mover, because it's the first move, it's the first motion of existence itself. And I proved it in a big, big, big way. So because of that, then everything became easier after that, because essentially I found out the blueprint of existence. If I know what the truth is, mathematically speaking, and I can just test it and prove it. And because of that, then that's what I've been doing. So I tackled all the big problems to test, and I call them meta-logic. Because then again, it's the logic of the logic. Is that understanding what the problem is. And so what is the problem? Well, the problem is that we're using the wrong tools. That's what the problem is. If you understand logic for what logic is, because the language itself was incomplete. So what I've done is understand what the limitations of which is, and again, mathematics, the limits of the structure that contain the language and the mathematics itself. And I essentially understood it and say, okay, so what are the limitations of it? Okay, so these are the breakdowns, these are the patches, and these are the problems that we have. So you see, that's how a logician thinks. You understand the logic of it. And then, okay, so then what's the solution? Well, the solution is to address the things that, so I'm going to repeat this again. So what's the solution? So what's the solution? What is the solution? Well, the solution is to address what the problem is. And the problem is that no one is talking about the real situation, which is infinity, the sphere, zero. Everyone is ignoring it. So then again, if you ignore the truth, then you will never find it because it's in your face and you're ignoring it. For X, Y, Z reason. It doesn't really matter. The fact and the truth is that you are not gonna find truth if you're not looking for truth. Because to look for truth is to solve the things that you are not wanting to solve, which are the problems in the first place. So the problems that they were trying to solve were wrong. This is why all the equations are wrong. because they were looking at it the wrong way. They were putting patches to ignore the truth so they could pretend that the truth is not that. Because then again, it's hard to come to terms with what infinity is. Infinity and zero has always been the biggest thing because infinity equals zero. 1 divided by 0 is infinity itself. And I have proven this, like, in full. Like, I mean, it's there, right? Truth is truth. So that's it. So, it's very simple. You either know the truth or you don't. And I have given the truth to everybody. So, it's there. So enjoy it, because the truth is that. So as I said, we enter this new era, this epoch, this new chapter in human affairs, where we have the solutions to everything because we know the truth. So there's no question that cannot be answered. So the limitations are not question-based. They are essentially driven by our abilities to actually understand what the truth is, which is there, so use it, apply it. It's applicability now. So there's no limits, you see? So there is no limitations anymore. It's just application. That's what I'm trying to say. So we enter the new era of applied truth, essentially. It's applied truth. So this is why I want to talk about metalogic. Why? Because metalogic is the logic of the logic. So it's understanding what reality is and what truth is. So the logic of the logic, the metalogic, is that truth is spherical and infinity is that. Infinity is spherical energy. Infinite number of spheres within spheres of energy. And it applies at all scales of reality. And that's just the reality of existence. Everything is spherical from an energy point of view. And because everything is energy, because we exist, believe me, I'm a physicist. I know we are energy, we exist. We are very much alive. Part of the work that I've done is to integrate consciousness into mathematics, meaning the role of consciousness, what's known as qualia. But in reality, it's self-awareness. It's what it is, the observer. And I have fully mapped it. Why? Because we ourselves are the observers of everything that there is as a biological species. So it is a role to understand who we are as the observer. And once you understand what reality is, which is spherical, then you understand everything, because everything reveals to you. The truth is revealed. So that's what it is. So metalogic is that. So essentially, when you use metalogic, then we enter this new era, because it's the era of knowing the answers for everything. Because if you have a question, then you know the answer for sure. So this is why, if you understand what the affairs of the last few years have evolved into, it's like, we are becoming better at getting more accurate answers in a way, and faster. So, so this technology that the chat boxes that we all use, all this autocomplete, all this autocorrection logic, because that's all what it is. All these are just the chat boxes. And it's a chat box that has a data training set that is essentially an autocomplete. That's all it is. So it matches based on the logic, and the logic gives you an autocompletion. So it puts words together. That's all it is. But because we have a lot of knowledge and we have aggregated a lot of information and knowledge, human knowledge, then we have a chat box that gives us pretty good kind of distillations and summaries. That allows us to, it's a tool, it's a mechanism. So these tools, these mechanisms are essentially aggregators. That's all they are. They're aggregators of knowledge in the way of an autocomplete chat box. It's an autocorrect chat box. That's all it is, that aggregates knowledge and distills it and synthesizes it. It has all sorts of biases and all sorts of problems, but because we just entered this new era, this new epoch, then all the biases and problems of these chat boxes can essentially be discarded and removed, because we know the answer for everything. So if you look at it from a computational point of view and you look at the code and you say, okay, so this is the structural code, this is the source code of this specific chat box and this logic, well, let's apply reality now. Let's apply truth mathematically. P equals NP. And then we're going to find all the biases. And the biases are going to be revealed because the bias is noise. If you understand mathematics for what mathematics is from a structural point of view when it comes to bias and truth, bias is noise. That's what bias is. If you're biased, it's because there's a lot of noise. And all this noise is essentially making you make the wrong decisions. So your Boolean, your true and false, is not necessarily accurate because the logic that you're using is is giving you the wrong results because you have a lot of noise. So bias is that. Bias is noise. So you need to remove the noise in order for you to identify the bias. And once you identify the bias, then you can fix it. And the way you fix the bias is by removing it. And the way you remove the bias is by spotting it and identifying it and saying, okay, so this is what it is. And from a human point of view, it's called self-awareness. So it's becoming aware that we can learning, intelligence, right? Consciousness. And because we are the biological observer of existence and infinity, then we have an infinite ability to learn and comprehend and become conscious and become self-aware and capable of doing great things, which is why we enter this era. So because of that, now we can take all the chat boxes and fix them, meaning make them better because they're a good foundation. So this is why I use them, because they're better than not having them. Yeah, because it's an aggregator of applied knowledge. So that's all it is. But now we can take all the bias and the noise out and make it even better because it becomes a truth teller in a way, giving, not because it knows the truth, but because its signals are essentially pinpointing to truth based on mathematics and logic. So it gives you the right answer. So instead of having all the bias that comes with it, that is inherent to language, that is not necessarily, that is biased, then you need to clear the language, meaning you need to address the problems of it. In mathematics, it's the incomplete formulas that are giving you the wrong language, which means you get noise, you don't get the answer. In semantics, that are not, and syntax, that is not necessarily mathematical language, it is, but it is in the way of words and alphabets. Then how do you remove the bias? Well, it's the meaning of things. And a lot of the meaning, which is bias and noise driven, has to do with incomplete false information, right? Incomplete sets. And because of that, then you can remove that. And if you remove all that is negative and incomplete, all the lies, then you only get the truth. So the language becomes better, more powerful, because it becomes a truly powerful tool of communication and cooperation, because it's all truth driven. So because all the chat boxes are just telling you the facts, they're not biased about what they think the facts are, because the truth is there and it's clear, and there is the systems as essentially are there, the logic, the meta logic is there, ensuring that the system doesn't deviate from the mean and it stays within the boundaries of the limit of its own structure, which is to tell the truth and nothing else but the truth, because the truth is the only thing that matters, because we know the answers now. So it's like, in the day we didn't know how to read and write, but now we do, right? So that's the whole point, and that's the same logic, if you understand. So it's a progression of that. So that's why why did I say all these things? Because in the past, we were kind of accelerating the aggregation of knowledge, and then it got to the level where we got chat boxes now. So because we have those, then, we move faster. But that's just the beginning, because we got to fix the chat box, right? To make it better. An actual useful tool rather than a noise amplifier. So that's it. And this is the era that we just entered, which is we're going to use all these tools just to amplify the truth, because we're not going to be asking the questions to somehow understand what reality is. We already know what reality is. We know what the truth is. So the chat box, the tool, will essentially just be a mechanism that we use to find deeper truth, more meaning, more infinity, because infinity is infinite. And because infinity is infinite, truth is infinite, meaning there is an infinite number of truth and true statements that we need to learn, and facts about existence itself. So because that is a reality and is being proven mathematically, then, you know, the chat box will only be there as a mechanism for us to keep on developing and finding the right answers, rather than having this noisemaker. So that's what the tool is. So that's that, and that's what P equals MPE. So it's essentially, we enter the era of knowing. We know now. We know the truth. We know the answers. We just need to apply them. So all the chat boxes become application tools, essentially, meaning that they just are syntax developers, essentially. That's all they do. They codify syntax and understand true semantics. That's all. So I'm gonna repeat this again. They understand syntax and truth semantics. That's all they need to know. And because the chat box knows truth semantics and syntax, which is the structure, then the logic becomes clearer because the instructions are there, the truth is there, we know the answers. We just are applying the knowledge. It's applied knowledge, it's applied engineering, applied design. So we're just using that to amplify, so we get to faster to answers and production and creation of anything, engineering, manufacturing, of all levels, not only software, but also hardware, like physical manufacturing, like real manufacturing, real scale manufacturing, which is this era, is the era in which we can do anything because we have proven the truth. So this is why these mechanisms are that, because we are all creators. This is our nature, this is who we are. And I wanted to make this video essentially to corroborate and explain my thinking, the meta logic behind things, and the reason why I solve problems the way I solve them, because there is a reason as to why. There is structural mechanics and there is structural conditions that need to be understood in order for the problems to be actually solved. Because all problems are structural. And because we know what the structure is, we know the answer to all the problems now. So this is important. So you need to understand this. So all problems are structural. And because we understand the structure, we know the truth, then we can answer any problem, which means we enter the era of truth. The real truth of everything, infinity itself, everything. Any question that you have, you would know the answer immediately if you understand this. And this is just the future of humanity. This is just the way things are now. And this cannot be changed. This is just the way reality is now. Because objective reality is what you see and what you can observe and you're conscious and self-aware about. And I exist, therefore I am consciousness and self-awareness. Of what? Well, everything that there is and will always be, because I am infinity myself. And so are you. So it's you coming to terms with the fact of what existence is. So because this is the way reality is and how things really operate and the truth of things, this is why all this mathematics and all this truth and all this logic and all this stuff is happening now. Because it has to do with energy. And it has to do with our nature and our ability to do things. And because this is who we are and we're humanity, you know, we are infinite in nature. So which means that from now on, this is just the way things are. And this is meta logic. You know, this cannot, you know, it's just the way it is. It's truth. And that's it. So this is why I make these videos. So I know who I am and I know my contribution. You know, I know exactly what I have accomplished. You know, I have done incredible things, remarkable things. And all the things that I have done all have come as a result of believing in my infinite nature. Because in fact, by proving my infinite nature, I've been able to prove everything else. Because my nature is just a reflection of everything that exists. So this is why I've been able to do the mathematics of infinity, for example, that allow me to prove everything. So on my website, I call it I Solved Everything. because it's true. I'm not only a mathematician, a logician, a physicist, I'm also a father, you see, which is part of the human experience, to reproduce and have children, offsprings. I'm a loving father. And I'm also an artist. I make music. And I'm a writer. I have written a book. And I'm a philosopher as well. I'm all sorts because I'm a creator. And this is the point. The point is that this is who we are. This is our nature. We are creators. So to understand our nature is to understand infinity, because we ourselves are infinity. And these things are not separate, because infinity contains everything within it. So we are infinity ourselves, which means everything is within us. And the way we express it is through our consciousness, self-awareness, our lives, our memories. I talked about it in length in the past, DNA memories and everything. So this is what it is. So because of the way things are, then you need to start understanding your role. And your role is that you choose to be because of your free will, because of your infinite nature to exist, which is a human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. So these are all codified semantics based on truth. And this is the syntax of infinity. I refer to it as the syntax codex, because in reality that's what it is. If you understand it, it's the syntax codex. It is the truth of reality. It is what it is. You see, it's just the way it is. I have a song called Pensum Dictum, which essentially means that it's the power of words. Is the truth. Is when you speak truth and you are truth, then you are truth. And everything that reveals to you is truthful, because you're using the right mechanisms. This is why we have entered this era of truth. It is the era of the sphere. So it is incredible. And this is amazing. And this is just the beginning. We have ushered the new era, an era of creation, infinite creation, an era in which we humans know the answers to everything. And it's just an era of application. It's an era of applied discovery. It's all it is. And it's infinite. If you understand the nature is infinite. So the discoveries are going to be infinite. And they're all going to be true. And they're going to be forever. And this is just going to go like this to eternity, to infinity, because this is our nature. So I am here as the first one to understand these, but to fully codify it and map it and provide it to humanity for free. Why free? Because we're infinity ourselves. This is who we are, and we're free. And infinity and freedom are the same. So if you understand what truth is, you understand that the nature of infinity is truth. And the nature of truth is freedom. So all these are the same idea. They're just different versions of it, meaning different points of view. So think of the sphere as this reality that is everything, and is spherical in nature, contains infinity itself. Well, everything within it is it, but it has different expressions of itself. So that's what it is. So this meaning, all this knowledge, all these things, that is wisdom, is that truth, freedom, infinity, they're all the same. So it's the realization of understanding what reality is for what it is. And this is the era that we have entered. So it's amazing. This is great. And I'm so grateful to be alive, to be a human, to love and understand that love is the highest energy of creation, and that we're here to create and to be powerful and to do incredible things for ourselves and for humanity, because this is the whole purpose of existence. The whole purpose of existence is to enjoy, to live life in a happy way, and understanding our role in society. And our role in society is that we choose. And because we choose, then we need to understand what that means, because infinity itself is that. And in order for you to choose, you really need to know what the truth is, because once you know the truth, then you can choose anything you like and create anything you want, because we are infinity ourselves. And this is our nature. So you see, all these things come together because they are in fact the same. It's all the same. We're all one. Mathematically speaking, physically speaking, energetically speaking, philosophically speaking. In all matters, biologically speaking, from all points of view, we are one, and we are the sphere. We're infinite energy, infinite creation. This is who we are. And we need to come to terms with that. And that's what this is. So I am this human. I'm Jam. I'm Jose Alonso Molina. And this is essentially my role. My role is this. It's a role that I chose for myself. I decided to become the messenger. I decided to become the medium of infinity itself to just produce and create these incredible things. Because this is for everybody. And everyone now has access to these. Because it's the truth. This is the truth. You see, it's the truth. And once you know the truth is there. You know, the truth is always there. But once you know it, then it liberates you, because it's the freedom of truth. It's the freedom of infinity. Knowing that you're that consciousness, that you're that self-awareness, that you're that creates infinitely, that you are that biology, that you're the consciousness and self-awareness of creation itself, that we ourselves are the creator at the biological scale, that our thoughts and our imaginations and everything that we do is infinite because we ourselves are infinite. So all these come together as one, because we are one. We are infinity ourselves. So you see, if you understand this, you see the logic, the meta logic is very obvious. It's the sphere, and everything becomes part of it. So once you start to understand it, and once you start to put it into practice, then you start to see that it's all the same, but different perspectives. And this is what the human experience is. Each and one of us observes infinity for what it is, and interacts with infinity, which is within us, and we experience it as individuals. This is why it starts with us, because we're alive, with the consciousness and self-awareness of everything that there is and would always be. We're the human heartbeat, with the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. And because it starts with our life, then we observe what exists, which is everything that there is. And that fact, that realization, that truth is everything that is and would always be. And because you know that, and you understand that you're that, and your DNA is the energy of infinity, which is that, we are the suns ourselves. This is who we are. The energy of the sun, this is who we are. We're the biological suns. This is who we are. And because we are this, then we're everything that there is. So we're the consciousness and self-awareness of the sun, of infinite energy and creation. This is who we are. So this is the species that we are. And we are aware and conscious of that. But at the same time, it's also facts. It's our DNA. It's our memories. Everything that we do is stored in our DNA memories, which is in every single cell of our bodies. So every memory, every experience, every moment is stored within you. And because we're infinite, then it's an infinite memories contained within our bodies. I'm going to say that again. Everything is contained within you. And because we're infinite, and we're everything that exists, every single memory is contained within us to infinity. Forever. You see, and it's not only to each individual. All your memories are within me, and all my memories are within you, at each and one of your cells, and all the species. And this goes to infinity. And not only that, it's also contained at the molecular level and the structural level of the energy of existence itself. And we see that as the sunlight, as energy and everything. Space, structure, vacuum field. You know, I refer to it in my work. So is that. We are that. We are the same. And we're the biological expression of that. And that is us. We are that. So because we're everything that there is, and you need to come to terms with that. That you matter because you're everything that there is and would always be. At all scales. And all dimensions. Because this is just existence. And the sphere is that. So you see, we know the answers to everything now. It's just a matter of coming to terms with the fact that we know the answers for everything, and we just enter this era of application where everything is essentially done now. So the truth is known, we know the answers, we just need to apply them and create, because everything has been answered. Everything that you always wanted to know is already answered, and it's answered within you. So you need to understand that. And you start by becoming conscious and self-aware of who you are. You see, a great way to do it is to stare at the sun, because it's the infinite energy of creation, and that awakens you. And that's how it works, because we are one with it. It created us in the first place. We're the image of the Creator, and the Creator is that. Is the infinite energy of existence, and we're the biological expression of that. So because of it, then everything comes to terms easily, because our consciousness and self-awareness is the consciousness and self-awareness of infinity itself. And because this is who we are, then it becomes easier for us to understand and process infinity, because we come to terms with our nature, who we really are. And when we stare at the sun, we accelerate ourselves. We get in sync with it. And by becoming one with it, our heartbeat becomes stronger, so we can love more and remember more our nature and who we are. And then just come to the terms with the fact that we're here to create, because we're the creators ourselves. So that's how it works. So you see, it's full logic, it's meta logic. It's spherical in nature. Truth is spherical. I have spoken about this at length in many of my previous videos, because I only speak about truth because truth is that. Truth is infinity. And, the best way to prove it is with math. And I have done so. So, just to prove a point, I have written the mathematics of infinity, because what I say is the truth. So I back myself up with the truth, and the truth is objective reality. And this is who we are. So yeah, so this is today's video. You see, this is the Riemann Hypothesis Proof, which essentially is a lovely mathematical hypothesis by a bright mind from, a couple of centuries back, who had a few ideas that were quite good, and he formulated them and postulated them. And then I became the person that understood them for what they were really and solved them. So yeah, so it's just the way it is. And I am very grateful to humanity. I'm so honored and humble every day to know that I am so incredible as a human being. And because of it, I'm grateful to existence itself, because I am that. I am that, which gives me the strength and the power to come to terms that we are all that. I'm just an example. I'm an example for humanity of who we really are, our nature, and our infinite ability to be who we are and express ourselves in the most incredible of ways, with the love of our hearts and the energy of creation. So it's all about that. It's about being happy and doing the things that make you happy, because remember, everything that you do is stored in our DNA memory. So everything that you do is there forever to infinity. And because our memories are that. And another thing that I haven't spoken about in the past, but I'm going to make reference to, is the fact of our infinite nature, in the sense that our lives are infinite in nature. So we are here forever. This is why we have infinite DNA memories, because when this DNA memory moves into the next level and transcends, then that becomes our next existence, our next level of consciousness and self-awareness at that scale of infinity. So and this is all has to do with our DNA and how we are, and our density and our nature, the way we are. Because if you understand, the sun creates elements, correct? Hydrogen, oxygen, helium, yeah, all these. So, and we are that at the most fundamental of levels. This is who we are. So we are the same energy, you see, but we just happen to have DNA memories of the spherical energy membrane of who we are, which is infinite in nature. So we are forever. So our memories are forever. So this is why when you're happy and you love, which is the highest energy of the heart, then you're creating an incredible future for yourself, because your memories are that. So when you become more conscious and self-aware and get to the next level, and you transcend and get to that next level of infinite energy and creation, then you would see who you are and what you've created in everything that you've called life, throughout all the different stages of what your conscious and self-awareness has done throughout your existence, which is infinite in nature. And it's all to do with our nature and our biology, because we're the biology of infinity ourselves. So our memories are stored everywhere. Everything. It's not only inside ourselves and our species, but it's also in everything that exists. The energy of creation, which is everything that is and would always be. And we happen to be the consciousness of awareness, the biological species of that energy of creation. This is who we are. So this is why we're this amazing species, because we are that species. We are the species that is one with everything. So yeah, so this is today's video. So it's the Riemann Hypothesis Proof, which I have proven, I have solved, and the mathematics is there. So please enjoy them. It's very simple. It's a light read. If you understand these things and you like these things, you're gonna love it. I hope you enjoy the video. I always make videos. My content is original. Everything that I do is original. So I just want to make sure that I keep on creating. So I keep on putting things out. As I said, I have solved all the mathematics and all the problems. So I will be uploading the videos for each of them. And that's it. I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you all with all my heart and might. I love you all with all my heart and might. I'm Jam, Jose Alonso Molina.